It's been 4 hours since the school's lockdown, and I don't think the teachers outside are still my teachers. I live in the Philippines, and it was 12:30. We were normally falling back in line after lunch, still talking about all the scares of graduation being cancelled. The new coronavirus was spreading all around the world, and it was threatening the week of graduation. Apparently, the disease was spreading much quicker than anticipated, and it was barely delayed by the government, but the disease got the better of the situation and spread everywhere. I just shrugged off all these scares and threats, knowing that it sure as hell is not gonna reach us, or so that's what I thought. The loud principal got over the intercom, sounding panicked, and said, "All students, please proceed to your respective classrooms immediately. Please prepare your emergency kits and safety masks. Reported cases of a new deadly virus has been apparently spreading under the scares of the coronavirus. I repeat, proceed to your respective classrooms, prepare your emergency kits immediately, lock all doors in the classroom, make sure every window and crack is sealed, and all is wearing safety masks. The school is now declared on lockdown." Panic got the better of us students, all hurriedly running to our rooms, some were left behind. People in hazmat suits kept roaming around the school, and suddenly the atmosphere of the situation got dark. I was in section 1B, we followed all the instructions properly, and our homeroom advisor guided us into what to do during the situation. We covered the windows with paper and tape, and sealed the door cracks with towels and cloths. And we waited until the next intercom announcement, almost an hour later. The principal, now in a much calmer but slightly odd tone, spoke in a different voice and said, "We now advise all the homeroom advisors, please take off your masks and head outside and leave one student of the class as in charge. We encourage our advisors and coordinators to participate in the cleaning of the school grounds. You will be provided with all the necessary equipment needed. For all the students, please remain in your classrooms and stay calm, we will get back to you immediately." Something about what the principal said was off, it sounded like he was different, inhuman, or more likely, insane. Our homeroom advisor followed as instructed and went outside, but left one of his associated co-worker to take care of us while they handled the situation. The police had apparently been already called and is on the way. We received no more calls from the intercom for the next 2 hours and decided to turn off the lights to avoid attracting attention from the teacher's operation, or something. And then we heard it. We heard something sharp, constantly hitting the tiles of the hallway right outside our room. Tick, 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 tick. It constantly got louder and louder, and soon we were able to make out the silhouette of what it was through the paper on the windows. One of my classmates blurted out, "Mr. McCrite," which turned out to be a horrible idea. The silhouette slowly turned its head a complete 90 degrees, in a perfect motion. Its body followed right after, and then it clicked, lifted its arm, and ripped some sort of mask on, and revealing the shadow of what looks like tentacles. It dashed at our window and slammed its arm against the window, but without enough force to break it. It kept gnawing and grabbing at the door, until it broke. "It broke," was the only thing I could say as a whisper. All of us panicked, running at every hiding spot we knew of the room. I managed to get in one of my classmates' lockers and had a perfect view through the locker doors' openings. I peeked out and got relieved, to find that everyone has found a spot in the room. I couldn't make out a view of the area near the window, but I was sure it was coming. I've successfully hid in this locker for an hour now. That thing has been just roaming around the room, breaking our seats and scratching at metal surfaces. I don't know how I can survive like this, with the fact that Larry apparently got out of his spot and thought it was gone. It wasn't, but Larry's still alive. He hid in the locker right next to mine, and loudly took a deep breath. We assumed the thing heard it. I can hear the shuffling sounds of ticking, nearing my locker door. I kept peeking through my opening, trying to get a sense of where it was. On my 14th peek, I saw it and will never think that I would be able to pass it off. It had Mr. McCrite's body, but its head was an amalgamation of tentacles, 4 sunken eyes, and a circular-shaped mouth with sharp teeth. This isn't true, I thought to myself, it's just a hallucination, this isn't real. And then it spoke. The words that I didn't want to hear and will never want to hear again. "Hello young man, open the door already." I don't know what popped in my mind, but I went blank. I couldn't feel anything. My body started moving on its own, my arms shuffling like crazy, and it hit me. This is what happened to Mr. McCrite. My hand jolted out from my side and, hastily, opened the door. I didn't tell it to do that, but it did. And I said, "Is it my turn?" without knowing that I moved an inch. I don't know what uttered me to spit out those few words. I didn't want to know what they meant. Am I gonna be next? What's gonna happen to me? Who is this? This isn't Mr. McCride anymore. I slowly moved my hand, and held on to what I could make out, was its hand. I fought for control over my own body. I don't even know if it's me that's moving anymore. Someone please, help me. Please help. Don't do it, kid. Mr. Smith, Mr. McCride's associate, was the one who yelled it out loud. What was he thinking? I snapped back and regained control over my muscles. I hurriedly closed the door and locked it from the inside with my foot. I can hear its footsteps, heading towards the direction of the front door, where Mr. Smith was. I peeked through the opening of my locker door, and I saw the most horrifying thing that could have happened to me, if it wasn't for Mr. Smith. It was clenching Mr. Smith from the neck. Its tentacles were slowly moving towards his associate's leg. I heard the loud gasps from my classmates, also terrified at what they were seeing. I felt terrible. It was because of me. If it wasn't for me, he would have still been alive. From the corner of my eye, I saw more guys in hazmat suits walk in the classroom and threatening the creature with some sort of machine. The intercom started again, but to our surprise, it wasn't the principal speaking. We heard screaming, gurgling, teeth clenching, and banging. It was probably the worst combination of sounds you could hear in a situation like this. If the principal encountered one of these things, then could it be? These things are all over the school. The school's gates were all positioned in the main area of the city. Then that would mean that the creatures are also all over the city? I hadn't realized until now, but I was muttering. I was talking all about the things I had thought about. It was making me insane. I keep thinking that I'd come back here tomorrow, the same exact thing will happen, and nothing will ever change. Isn't that what insanity is about? Repeating something over and over again and expecting a different outcome? It was right outside my door. It was looking inside the opening. It was staring right into my eyes, straight in my soul. My body went into that limp, uncontrollable state again, and I yelled without me thinking about it. I'm next. I opened the door, and saw that there wasn't only one, but two creatures now. The guys in hazmat suits were all lying down on the floor, lifeless. The extent of what these creatures can do is right before my eyes, and I'm next. I stepped out my locker, and ran. I ran as fast as I could. I could all hear my classmates shrug in confusion as to what I was doing. I left the classroom and proceeded directly to the first gate. Holy crap, they're everywhere. I saw my friend, Finn, from Class 1A, also outside and running, but this time he was with his classmates. Where are your classmates? Aren't they supposed to be here? Didn't the principal all tell you? The principal? Wasn't the principal already dead? Hey Finn, where's your homeroom advisor? Dead. We'd rather not talk about it now. These things are everywhere and it doesn't seem that the infection will stop. They said it was a low-lying virus, similar to the corona, but this one's much stronger and infects the whole body and mind. I can go get my classmates, but two of those creatures are right outside my room. Maybe some of you can come with me? I presented a plan that has been going on in my mind for a couple of times now. I noticed that in those creatures' mouth, there were some sort of yellow bulb. When I looked out the gate, all the creatures that were lying on the ground lifeless had those bulbs popped out. I thought that it would have something to do with how it stays alive. We brought some metal pipes. One of the kids managed to open the supply closet and snatch a crowbar, and we were on our way. Right off the bat, we were put face to face with one of them. None of us knew how to fight, and all of us were slim weaklings anyway. But still, we fought, poorly. I wished I could say that I jumped in my instincts and immediately smashed that bulb and beat it up. But no. We were outsmarted. Finn's other classmate was already dead. It was only the two of us left. And then it grabbed my leg, and I was limp again, but this time, it felt kind of permanent. I can't feel anything. It buried its fingers on my leg, clenching and scratching all over my leg. It was bleeding, a lot, but I couldn't feel anything. It was terrifying, horrible, disgusting, everything you could describe it. Its fingers were swollen, and something fluid was entering the wound. I panicked, but I couldn't move, couldn't do anything. Finn just stood there. After a while, he ran away. I was left alone with one of these creatures. I just looked into its eyes, and it started right back at me. I was able to get a portion of my senses, right just above my knee. It hurt more than anything I've ever felt. I'm bleeding, and it was injecting something inside my bloodstream. I could feel myself becoming one of them. It slowly started hurt lesser than before. I was disgusted to say, but I was getting used to it. I don't even feel human anymore. Was I going insane? My head was feeling tingly, it stopped doing things to my leg, and I could feel my body again. But it was different. I felt hazy, slightly comfortable. Something in my head kept moving around. It reached the top of my skull and it burst itself out. I'm one of them now. I must do what I have to do. I must.